Every day, across Britain, hundreds of raids take place in secret.
Some of the places we do go, their life choice is to be a criminal.
Filmed over 1 year, this series has gained exclusive access to some of the best raid teams in the UK. Catching crooks, red-handed.
They have to be prepared for whatever they find on the other side of those doors.
Got it.
Drugs, money, firearms.
Seizing illegal contraband.
It's just a sickening amount of wealth.
It's about strategy, surprise, getting results, and putting the criminals behind bars.
If you choose to live your life in this way, we will identify you and we will prosecute you.
Strike.
Counterfeiting and fake goods is a major problem, not just locally, but nationally and worldwide.
Please!
I mean, it's so blatant, it's just assaulting our intelligence.
Consumers are being ripped off. Companies worth billions of pounds are also being ripped off. These are the biggest companies in the world and people trust them.
That's just going to explode. Look at that.
Our job is to protect the consumers from being ripped off from unsafe, cheap, counterfeit goods.
The specialist counterfeit raid team are preparing to hit a number of businesses suspected of being part of the illegal trade.
Good afternoon. As Operation Sparrow, we have information that counterfeit goods may be stored at these premises.
Leading today's raid is Tariq Mohammed.
If there's no one at the unit, we're going to use force entry to get in there. Trademarks Act, serious offence, it's up to 10 years imprisonment or an unlimited fine. It's down to them to prove who the owner is. If not, they'll get nicked. Simple as that.
When intelligence is received, we do our homework. What we tend to do is carry out any background checks on the individuals, on the premises, to make sure that the information that we received is correct, because a lot of resources are put into these operations.
The fake electrical goods market is estimated to be worth £1.3 billion a year. Millions of pounds of that is thought to be funding organised crime.
It's not a victimless crime. Counterfeit goods funds organised crime groups that are heavily involved with sort of child exploitation, modern-day slavery, human trafficking. So it's not just, you know, oh, it's counterfeit goods and it's a victimless crime. No, there's more to it.
The first premises is on an industrial estate in Ealing. The team suspect an office is being used to store illegal stock before it's sold online.
You can see the goods from here. Hello?
Different method of entry.
We can also enter by force if we need to, if we are obstructed.
Stand back from the door.
Hey, brilliant.
Police!
There's no one inside, but there are hundreds of boxes.
Yeah. Just looking for some trademarks on these items. As you can see, these are like iPad screens. Got Samsung brand on it.
So what before is the home button?
Right, like that. So that's a trademark.
Trademark for that.
Brilliant. This is a fake Apple screen. So that's a good little hit then.
They've got the suspected counterfeit goods. Now, they need the person responsible.
What we tend to do is carry out inspections of the premises as well, look for any documentation, any mobile numbers, any invoices, any documents or bank details that will take us back to the owner of the business. However, in this case, we were lucky because the owner came back.
I'm from Trading Standards. My name is Mr. Tarek. You're the owner of the business? OK. Have you got any ID on you?
No.
No ID whatsoever? Driving licence?
Nothing at the moment. Everything.
You need to tell me the truth, OK?
Yeah, true.
Right, OK, because if I check, right,
Yeah, check.
on the basis of the evidence that we found, I'll have to caution you in that you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you may later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, OK? I need the receipts of these items.
No, at the moment, no, I can't.
Where are they?
Because I buy all local stock, so I can't. I can go to whatever I should buy.
Tell me where you got them from then.
No comment was you, whatever you said.
No comment. OK.
And you can speak to my solicitor otherwise.
All right, do you want to get your solicitor on the line now?
I don't have the number this way.
So, speak to my solicitor, but I don't have the number. You don't know much, do you?
It's so frustrating because the trader, rather than cooperate with us, has just been obstructive, which really doesn't help him. We're still going to seize the goods. He's in possession of the goods. He's claimed to be the owner of the goods, so any sort of further investigation will be carried out against him.
Everything we asked you, you don't know, I'm not sure, whatever. If we can't verify who you are, you're going to get arrested.
Tarek checks the company's records online to find out more about the business setup.
Sure, yeah. Well, it was dissolved in September 15. I'm just doing a check on Company's House. Did you know it was dissolved? No. 3 years, you didn't know the company that you're running was dissolved. Just in case you missed it, you haven't done your accounts for a good 3 years. That might have been an indication that your company's closed, yeah?
Really, I don't.
You don't know? It's about time you started telling us the truth. It's quite straightforward. You've been found in possession of counterfeit goods, so what's so confusing about that? Under trademarks, it's unlimited fine and up to 10 years imprisonment, and that's per item. So you can just imagine we've seized nearly 3,000 screen covers. It's serious.
In total, thousands of pounds worth of goods were removed.
OK, we're going to start taking stuff down now, guys.
The owner was later interviewed and given a warning.
Brilliant.
It was a good result for us. Every item that's been seized is a step in the right direction to combat this illicit black market.
Coming up, Tarek's team move on to raid a shop full of dangerous goods.
You want to have a look at this one? That's just going to explode. Look at that. It's diabolical.
All officers are briefed to prepare for the unknown.
And police in South Wales come face to face with the drug dealers responsible for supplying millions of pounds of heroin.
Police warrant! Police warrant!
Strike, strike, strike. Strike, strike, strike.
Police are targeting major drug dealers in South Wales.
This group has supplied somewhere in the region of 200 to 300 kilos of heroin. And at street value level, that's worth millions of pounds.
Recently, in a series of coordinated raids across the UK, police caught the top gang members from the organised crime group.
I'll let the lads in.
Now, they're going after the rest.
These are our targets for phase 2. These individuals all perform key roles, be that as couriers, moving the drugs from Liverpool into South Wales, or taking cash back, or recipients in their own right, who then go on to pass that heroin on to street dealers in the Newport and Cardiff areas. These individuals are all the wheels of commerce. So in many respects, they're probably as important. Without them, the supply doesn't take place.
Months of investigation and a first wave of raids has led police to this next set of targets.
Dominic Serafin, male from the Newport area. Likewise, his brother Jan. They were heavily involved, not only in the supply of drugs, but also the movement of cash. Inevitably, family members often form a tight bond in these circumstances because of the trust levels required. Harry Pullen, a 20-year-old male from the Newport area, extensive involvement with the police historically, known to be on the fringes of drug supply or heavily involved with it. His role was crucial in a key piece of evidence against Sean Doolan, the head of this crime syndicate. Jason Underwood, a supplier in his own right, witnessed on one occasion meeting with couriers, exchanging what we believe to be heroin, which he then took back to his home address. And we hope to arrest him as well. Our objective is to dismantle this gang piece by piece. Each team will have its own pack to deal with specifically with different types of mobile phones. It's got that complicated now.
In the early hours, more than 100 officers gather to be briefed on the imminent raids.
So for the past 18 months, 2 years, we've basically been working our way through the organised crime groups in the Newport city centre and having a degree of success from that. I think probably to date, we've probably locked up 70, 80 people.
The dealers the police are after have been moving hundreds of kilos of heroin onto the streets.
Last week, we arrested those who were responsible for that supply, so we've concentrated on those heads of the organised crime groups. The people you're going to arrest today are the next tier down from that. They're the ones who, in effect, make it happen. And the ones you're going to do today will be the ones you will see on a day-to-day basis. Okay, the ones that are ones on the streets, the ones probably that cause you, in an overt way, the most hassle. So your efforts this morning to get out of bed at God knows whatever time will be worth it, I hope. We've already shown our hand with the arrests on phase 1, and these individuals on phase 2 may simply be more difficult to find because they're aware of our presence. They may be staying with friends, they may be living in another city, all with the single purpose of trying to avoid capture. I would hope that you won't have too many difficulties with the individuals you're dealing with today. If they are particularly difficult, then we'll simply call a van in and they'll be transported by a van to Westrid. The last thing I'd say, and I always reiterate this, is don't get into a war of words with them. All right? Some of them will be particularly aggressive with you today. I suspect that they're not particularly going to be happy to be visited at 5 o'clock in the morning. Don't get involved with them.
Officers head off towards the target locations. For Andy, it's the culmination of a year of exhaustive work.
A lot of pressure rests on me. I'm the one that takes responsibility for the decisions. And success or failure of each arrest phase and the inquiry as a whole lies on my shoulders.
In the Gold Command control room, Andy prepares to coordinate the simultaneous strikes.
Minutes do matter in these scenarios. I think the risk for us on phase 2 is quite high. We don't have a margin of error. So if we generally make a mistake, it'll normally be catastrophic for us. Do I feel the pressure? Yes. Do I feel the stress? Absolutely. I'm sat there waiting to ensure that all the teams are in position, that everyone's where they need to be at the right time. That's the point of probably maximum tension.
Focus into the holding area.
T2 in the holding area.
Let's get on with it. All teams, strike, strike, strike.
All teams, strike, strike, strike.
Strike, strike, strike! Trading standards in London have been on the hunt for fake goods in the city.
Police!
They've already successfully seized thousands of pounds worth of phony goods, but they face a massive task.
We can't seize all these billions of pounds of counterfeit goods that are flooding the country. At the end of the day, we will go on intelligence, we will carry out our work, we'll empty units, we'll empty offices.
The intel was bang on. We'll just take it.
Consumers may think they're getting a bargain, but they're not. At the end of the day, they're actually being ripped off because they're nothing but cheap, shoddy, counterfeit goods.
The next target they're after is already known to the team.
This premise has been visited in the past. We seized a large quantity of counterfeit goods from this premises before. We've had intelligence that they're still at it, they haven't stopped.
I think they found some goods.
A lot of work has gone into this. We've got our colleagues from the police, we've also got brand representatives with us who will actually give us the evidence to say that the goods that we'll be seizing are counterfeit.
Is this the gentleman?
This is indeed. It's behind the counter. We've got.
This helps us out on the day because if any individuals are found with counterfeit goods, they're going to be arrested and taken to the local police station and interviewed, and with the brand representatives confirming that the goods are counterfeit, we might even charge them.
Okay.
I'll just take you through what we've found. So we've got a lot of Apple merchandise, and it was samples that have been delivered by an unknown person, of which he had no more in stock. If we wanted to order more, you'd have to phone him, but you didn't have his phone number. Yeah. And then what I've assured the gentleman will do is we'll go through the premises top to bottom.
Fantastic.
And we'll see what we have. And then we'll start bagging and tagging.
It's a customer. Why have you got his books? Has he left these as well? Here.
No, it's mine.
Temptation will always be there for these counterfeiters. There's a lot of money to be made in this, so they're not going to stop just overnight just because we've seized an office full of counterfeit goods. But what it does do is sends a clear message that we're not going to stop as well.
It's not the first time Tarek and the shopkeeper have crossed paths.
I've visited you before, haven't I? What are you still doing with counterfeit goods?
They've got a few samples here.
No, I told you not to. I've already seized a load of stuff from you before, haven't I?
Yeah.
So, what's your explanation?
Made a mistake, we're not going to do it again then.
But you said that last time. You're not going to do it again.
There are thousands of counterfeit items on sale here.
When you open it up, it's the Apple logo trademark. Black tape there, then you've got the Samsung.
Why they use a black tape is when they're smuggling the goods into the country, it's so it doesn't get detected by the customs officers or people at the ports. So they just think there's no trademark on there, they can't see Apple or Samsung or whatever, let's get the goods through. It is really silly because, you know, by them putting the black tape, we know they're fake. If they didn't have the black tape, we'd be scratching our head, right, is this fake or do we have to send them off to the company to get them examined?
So clearly they're concealing the trademark, which is a criminal offence, up to 10 years imprisonment or a limited fine.
Graham, scream out the seal number on that one for me, Alice.
He's been warned, but he's just basically ignored our advice and carried on selling stuff and has no regards to the law.
Faulty electrical goods cause 7,000 UK house fires a year.
What did we say about safety? It's a priority, isn't it? You said you had children.
Yeah.
Didn't you take it serious?
Clearly not.
The team start testing the fake goods.
You want to have a look at this one? That's just going to explode. Look at that.
Right.
It's diabolical.
They move on to the shop storeroom.
The trade has been warned previously not to deal and supply counterfeit goods. 10 months later, he's stocked up twice as much as what he had before, so it doesn't really look good for him because this is the second time now he's been caught.
What we've done is seized tens of thousands of pounds worth of counterfeit goods, and samples will be examined, and on a later day they will be destroyed. If you're selling counterfeit goods, we will seize the goods, we will seize your assets, and you can even go to jail up to 10 years.
In all, they found several £1,000s worth of fake goods. Following the raid, the business has closed down and is no longer trading. Coming up.
You know, you're using something and not paying for it. That's stealing.
The British Gas raid team targeting energy thieves.
It's dangerous because he's removed the meter whilst live gas is being used.
And police close in on a network of drug dealers.
A lot of pressure rests on me. I'm the one that takes responsibility for the decisions.
But will the criminals come quietly?
The idea is we secure entry as quickly, as efficiently as we can.
Police in Newport are putting into action a major operation. Its aim, to stop a huge drug-dealing network.
This group has supplied somewhere in the region of 200 to 300 kilos of heroin. And at street value level, that's worth millions of pounds. Although we've arrested the heads of the gangs, it's now crucial that we deal with that middle tier, the individuals who make things happen. Our job is to dismantle, and to dismantle in its entirety, all of the network, and effectively cut off the supply.
The detectives in charge have identified the targets. Now it's the raid teams on the ground who will move in. It's 5 a.m. and more than 100 officers are deployed to hit the target addresses.
Whenever these teams come together, you will know every officer within that team. You know that if the person standing next to you is advanced method of entry trained, then they're going to be good and they're going to have your back. We are switched on. We do carry tasers, we do carry shields. All officers are briefed to prepare for the unknown. Our role is to gain entry as fast as we possibly can, secure the occupants, make sure that there's no interfering with any evidence. When we're faced with secure doors that are likely to cause us an issue, the chainsaw is a fantastic piece of kit. We can gain entry within 10, 12 seconds.
We want to be as quiet as we can. We've got a communal door to get into the block of flats. And then once we're in the block of flats, it's top floor, and then we work on the door to the flat itself. There's potentially a dangerous dog in there as well.
We will review everything for that address and for the occupants. We leave no stone unturned.
Everybody happy? All good?
Are there pets at the address, or previous calls have we had to the address? Are there any children there? If there are children, are they of school age?
The idea is we secure entry as quickly, as efficiently as we can, and then we enter and dominate that premises and secure every person that's in there.
And then it's time for everyone to start thinking about what they're likely to face, their own roles, their own responsibilities, because you don't want to be the person that gets anything wrong. We've got to get it right, otherwise people could get hurt.
They take up their holding positions and wait.
Focus into the holding area.
Sorry, but when we're sitting 2 streets away in the back of a panel van, waiting, then yes, there is adrenaline.
It's the senior officer in command, Andy Bartholomew, who will give the order to move.
The decision then comes for me to decide when we go, and that's the point of probably maximum tension.
T2 at the holding area.
I've then got to sit back and wait and simply allow them to do their work, which on occasions is the most difficult bit, because I then have no control or no say over what happens next.
Let's get on with it.
All teams. Strike, strike, strike.
All teams. Strike, strike, strike.
Strike, strike, strike.
Strike, strike, strike.
Nice gentle closing on those doors, remember? We're going to form up before we move on the address.
If all goes to plan, the teams will strike simultaneously at multiple addresses.
It's not a case of tyres screech outside the address and everyone runs. We tend to be as discreet as we can. Or building up to actually using force.
What's the dog on the stairs? Jack with the dog. Right. Go, player. Right. Here.
Secure.
Custody.
What's your name, fella? Harry Pullen. Cheers.
Two persons.
They're successfully in. Target Harry Pullen is arrested.
Entry gained. 2 persons secure within the address.
I'm then watching the whiteboard in front of me like a hawk and watching the names get ticked off. And every time a name gets ticked off, the pressure comes off.
Police warrant! Do we want?
Police warrant! Police warrant!
Can I have a camera over my face, mate? Come on.
Team 3, entry secured. Believe we've got a suspect detained.
The Seraphim brothers are both nicked.
Yo, mum, come here in a minute and let me give you a kiss. Come here.
Yeah, you've got the other lads. I don't know who they are though.
Dominic and Jan Serafin and Harry Pullen are under arrest.
Can I go to piss before I go, mate? Because I'm just dying for the piss.
But another target, Jason Underwood, is not where they expected him to be.
Gained entry to our address. Subject is not here. Confirm not here.
Which one's that? Okay. There's a real risk at this point that people we are seeking have disappeared. You then have to put that aside and think in a logical way of what are my backup options. You okay? No, you roll on to the secondary address, yeah? We will always have roll-on addresses for them. So if they have to force entry to a secondary address or a third address, they're in a position to do so. and they have the warrants in their possession. That's part of the planning, that's part of the work that goes in beforehand. All right, let me know. Sure. There is that element of disappointment, and that's just simply the risk that we take. Sometimes our luck is in, and sometimes our luck is out.
The UK's energy network is a vital lifeline. It's also a temptation for thieves.
My job is to detect and deter energy theft. We look for meters that have been interfered with, tampered with.
Every year, around £400 million worth of energy is stolen.
What we have there is an illegal meter. It's breaking the law. I don't think people understand just how dangerous things can be, messing around with electricity and gas supplies, and you know, you do sometimes have to go to drastic lengths to make them understand.
There's people running businesses that want to make as much money as they possibly can, and they're going to make more money for themselves if they get away with not paying their gas and electricity. You know, you're using something and not paying for it. That's stealing.
On their way to raid commercial premises suspected of energy theft are Damien Hornby and Matthew Godridge. They're the enforcers for British Gas.
Meter reader has suspected index tamper. We don't know till we get in there.
Their first stop is a takeaway which has registered a sudden drop in gas usage.
We took a reading in November where he was using on average 17 kilowatts a day. Since November, it dropped down to 1 kilowatt a day, which just isn't right. Hey mate, you all right? Have you got any gas in use at the moment? Anything on? Fryers or?
I don't know.
Are you the manager?
No.
No, is he about? He's not here, is he?
As gas is passing, the meter index is going round slowly, but it's juddering. It's not going around in one fluid movement like it should do when it's recording. Seals on both sides of the index have been...
British Gas fitted this meter less than a year ago.
There's no reason why it should have scratch marks around the seals in the paintwork, so it's clear indication that somebody's been at it inside. You have cogs inside here which turn this dial to record the use of gas. So I would say that those cogs inside have been tampered with to prevent all of the gas being registered correctly. So he's not paying for all of his gas.
But the money isn't their only concern.
It's dangerous because he's removed the meter whilst live gas is being used, and he doesn't know that there could be a gas escape. This is only hand tight. This should be completely tight, gas tight.
As they start dismantling the meter, the takeaway owner returns.
We've seen evidence that the supply's been tampered with, so...
But what evidence? You know, if I haven't done anything.
You were using, on average, until November, 17 units a day, and then it's dropped down to 1.
Well, I have no idea, and I don't know if anything wrong with the meter.
That meter was installed for you,
yeah,
and it's now tampered.
So,
no, listen, and I'm not pointing my finger, but
probably the meter has got a fault or anything.
No, that's not a fault.
I don't touch anything.
No, and I'm not saying you are.
Yeah.
But whoever has done it, they've done it during your period where you were responsible as a British Gas customer, because that meter was installed for you, and since that's gone in, it's showing signs of illegal interference. He'd taken those blue industry seals off, took the index holder off, and has obviously shaved those cogs. The cogs interlink with each other, and that then registers the gas that's being used. The fact that they've been shaved meant that not all the gas was being registered.
They also think someone has been reversing the meter dial, literally rolling back the numbers to reduce the amount of gas the meter shows has been used.
There was 2 instances really of illegal interference, which has left us no option but to disconnect the supply on safety grounds. My belief is he knew more than what he was letting on, to be fair. But whether he's done it, a friend's done it, colleague or whoever, ultimately he's responsible for the bill.
The final backdated bill was for nearly £3,500. British Gas cut off the takeaway supply at street level. The takeaway is now closed. Coming up, police in Newport go on a manhunt.
Do cash.
Before hitting the jackpot.
It looks like heroin.
Strike.
Police are targeting a massive network of drug dealers, flooding the streets with heroin.
In the 6-month period that we have investigated these individuals, they've probably supplied anywhere between 200 and 300 kilos of heroin. I don't think I've ever seen drug supply on this scale. I think the risk to us on phase 2 is quite high.
So far, they've successfully raided multiple addresses and caught 3 members of the gang.
Police run! Police run! Police
Contact! What's your name, pal?
Everybody secure!
Harry Pullen. Cheers.
Entry secured. Believe we've got a suspect detained.
This morning, officers have arrested several of the suspected dealers. But now, the pressure's on to catch the missing man, Jason Underwood.
We've gone into one address, and the person we were looking for wasn't there, which is disappointing. And, in effect, comes with the risk of the work we do.
Some of the people that we deal with, they have different places to stay, whether they're staying with girlfriends, friends, mum, hotels. They're not predictable. We'll have to roll on to another address, and that's as quickly as we possibly can.
You okay? No, you roll on to the secondary address, yeah?
Some of the raid team redeploy to carry on looking for the missing target, as others start to search for evidence of large-scale drug dealing at the homes they've already raided.
What I rely on is that the officers put their euphoria and that excitement aside and refocus on doing their work.
At Harry Pullen's house, the police carry out a thorough search.
We are then looking for the drugs paraphernalia that you would associate with large-scale drug supply. So the mobile phones, the cash.
Large quantity of money. The cash and a wash bag.
The drugs themselves, the cutting agents, the scales.
And there are more good finds at the home of the Seraphim brothers.
So we've got 2 packages containing a powder substance.
It looks like heroin. It'll go off now for forensic analysis, and if it is heroin, it'll come back with a purity as well, so we'll have an idea of how much it's worth as well then.
But we'll also go beyond that. We'll look for the signs of wealth. We'll look for the high-value cars. We'll look for the trainers. We'll look for the televisions and the nice sofas and the quality items around the house. And if they're found to be there, we'll take those as well. And more often than not, they will form a vital part of the evidence that we will then use at court against those individuals.
As the searches are being carried out, the raid team approach a second address linked to missing suspect Jason Underwood. They're hoping this time he's not so lucky. Force isn't required. Officers walk right in.
You've got 7 elephants circle on here.
Mr. Underwood is in.
Oh, you got him, mate?
Yeah, he's in.
Oh, he's in.
They found him at the secondary address. When you arrest everyone you've been looking for, there is a sense of euphoria, and it makes the job worthwhile. And you certainly sleep a lot better that night than you would have otherwise. It's outstanding, huh?
It's good.
It's not bad. I'll take him, huh?
Yeah.
A successful series of dawn raids and a major drugs network dismantled. The police investigation into the gang led to 8 people being arrested in the second phase of raids. All charged with conspiracy to supply heroin.
Hi, I just want to book in from Tarian. Cheers.
Okay, Dominic. Yeah. It's been explained to me that there's an ongoing operation into the supply of drugs regionally, okay? Yeah. And that through that investigation, you've been linked to an offence of conspiring to supply Class A drugs.
Dominic Serafin pleaded guilty and was jailed. His brother Jan Serafin and Harry Pullen both denied being involved, but were found guilty at court. Jason Underwood pleaded guilty. They will be behind bars for many years.
You do feel like you've made that contribution to a safer community where people can walk down the streets unhindered without fear of being robbed or burgled or assaulted. And it's important to me, and I think it's important to the people I work with, that we have made the difference. The work will always be ongoing, because the moment that you stop, the moment that you give up, or that you don't bother, is when the criminals have won. And I can't accept that. So we take our wins, we celebrate our victories, and then tomorrow we start afresh.
Racing against the clock, join officers for 60 minutes of real-time crime in Police Hour of Duty, streaming now for free on My5. And tonight on Channel 5, a Friday night reveller is getting out of hand as we go behind station doors for Inside the Force 24/7 next.